There was a phrase that I found myself using to a friend last week, which was nationalism without the nationalism, and I think that that's what this campaign's about. I'm an ex-Labour Party member. I vote for the Tories before I voted for Labour again, because they've abandoned the people that they represent, and I would urge good Labour people to vote for independence and then sort it out in the new Scotland. That's what has to happen. Our next speaker comes from the place that won the Scottish Cup this weekend. I don't know if he's a St Johnstone fan or not, but I would please say you are. Jim Fairlie was born in the town of Perth, I imagine. Aye. He's now farming 5,500 acres. Is that a lot? Aye. On a hill farm north of Perth, and he runs a 2,000 hill sheep and 70 suckler cows. He runs an outdoor catering business with his wife, taking beef, lamb and mutton from their farm to major outdoor events like Tea in the Park. Founder of the Perth Farmers Market, the first in Scotland, the co-founder of the Scottish Association of Farmers Markets. He's worked with the Scottish Government and Tayside contracts to get more local produce into the public procurement system. He's worked with schools to teach kids about food provenance, and he passionately believes in an independent Scotland, which is a lifelong passion and belief. As a farmer, he has witnessed firsthand the benefits of devolution and a government that understands the needs of the industry. He firmly believes that independence is the only way to allow Scotland and the Scottish people to flourish the way we can and should. I should say that we're going to just let the speaker speak and then we can have all the questions at the end. So, Jim Fairlie.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. I have to say, I was driving over from Glasgow. I was in Glasgow this morning doing a debate with a Better Together farmer on the BBC. And it's only the second time I think I've come through this part of the world. My wife's a West Coaster, she comes from Glasgow, and she's constantly at me saying, let's go back to the West. And seeing what I'm seeing here tonight, it's a definite draw. It's absolutely stunning. I'm going to point it right from the outset. I am a nationalist, and I don't care what anybody calls that. A nationalist is a good thing when you believe passionately. I don't have the fear of nationalism. I don't have the fear of the tag of nationalism. There is nothing wrong with being proud of your country and telling people that you're proud of your country. I am not a member of the SNP or any other political party. I have got no political aspirations whatsoever. It doesn't mean to say that I'm not ambitious. My ambitions for me, for my family and for my country are absolutely huge. And I remember reading a quote many years ago that says, if your plans don't scare you, you're not being ambitious enough. My personal ambitions have always been, if not exactly frightening, then certainly enough to make me take a deep breath before I jumped. When I bought my first flat at the age of 21, overcoming the nerves and the fear and the excitement of doing that allowed me the confidence to then go and sell it. And I sold it so that I could go and do what I always wanted to do, which was travel. And I bought my first ticket to Australia from the proceeds of the flat sale. And again, the nerves, the excitement, the fear of that process gave me the confidence to then go and travel around Australia. And through doing that, I built up a load of experience and had an absolute ball in the process. One of the biggest tests that I faced in my growing youthful confidence, though, was to try again when I was meeting my wife. She made it very clear that she wasn't interested. There was not going to be any negotiations with her. 2 wonderful daughters, and 22 years later, I'm very glad to say that I didn't fall at the first hurdle. We then set out to make lives and careers for ourselves. Anne, first and foremost, was an amazing mum. She just happened to fit in the time to train to be a chartered accountant at the same time. And I got the next step in my own personal ladder by becoming a shepherd. But in doing so, I recognised that there were some real challenges in our industry, and I set about trying to change it. By setting up Scotland's first farmers market, it set a very slow but determined evolution of the food and drinks industry in Scotland. I wanted to change our cultural relationship that this country has with food, and as importantly, with the people who grew it. Coming from the town and then moving into the country, I recognised that there was a massive gulf between the two communities, and it was one that really needed to be bridged. Now, I'm sorry folks for giving you this history of my life, but there is a point to it. But our ambitions after we got set up doing that went further than that. We wanted to be in as much control of our own lives as we could possibly be. So again, we gathered their resources, we recognised their fear, and we jumped into buying a plot of land without planning permission, and eventually just built our own house. The initial fear was terrifying. We didn't know what we were getting. We had no certainty that we'd actually get planning permission, but we invested every single penny that we managed to scrape together. But we had the belief that the rewards would far outweigh the risks, and we managed to get the planning, and as the design evolved in Anne's mind, her ambitions grew and she created a stunning house, which was possibly the most stressful thing that we have ever done. The results, however, were fantastic. Handling. It has not been an easy ride by any stretch, but it has challenged us in lots of different ways, but it's also given us some great successes. And the question for us, ladies and gentlemen, is when it comes to our country, where does our own ambition lie now? Do we have faith and belief in our fellow Scots, in our neighbours, and in the people, as Ruth Wishart said, who have paid us the ultimate compliment of choosing to come and live with us to take the next step to independence? We are now well into the conversation as to whether or not we should be independent. We have seen the early attempts of the No campaign to create uncertainty and doubt with their self-tagged Project Fear. We didn't call it that, they did. We have also witnessed some of the Yes camp promise a wonderful utopia of independence, and that's not true either. We just need to have a proper grown-up conversation and not pretend that we've got all the answers and that everything will be 100 times better on day one of independence, because it won't be. But equally, we shouldn't be blinded by or paralysed by the fear of the unknown or the scare stories either. There is uncertainty. We live in uncertain times and there's always going to be fear. But there's hope, there's ambition, and there is a determination, a skill and an energy and an enterprise in Scotland which is far outweighs anything that we should be scared of. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I would urge both camps in this debate to ensure that the conversation about our constitution and our sovereignty is had at a level which reflects the importance of the question and ensures that the politics does not allow apathy to defeat our ambition. I would also urge the people of Scotland not to let the fear of change paralyse us into doing nothing. Change is the inevitable consequence of the passage of time, and we are lucky enough to have the choice about how to shape our country. And we've got the SNP to thank for that, despite not being a member of the party. But they are giving us the opportunity to make that decision, whereas the people of 300 years ago didn't have that choice. There's still undoubtedly a lot of things to be scrutinised, questions to be raised, some genuine and some are bogus. I've got no fear about the questions that people ask us. Some of them we can answer with a degree of certainty, and some of it will just be a case of we have to wait and see. For the uncertain among us that are here tonight, ask the questions, and if we don't have absolute certainties, what you can guarantee in the Yes campaign is that the number one focus and priority of any Scottish government, whether it's Labour, Tory, Lib Dem or anybody else, will be that Scotland's focus is the number one focus that they will be looking at. Team, and if Andy Murray ever makes it to number one, then there'll be nobody happier than I am. I have absolute certainty in the people of Scotland that when we finally wake up from the malaise that we are in just now, then we will actually be the country that we were supposed to be. And I have a huge ambition, faith and willingness to work very, very hard to make sure that Scotland votes yes in September. Thank you.